Happy weekend, everyone. This is Leading Edge. I'm Dan Cummins, filling in this week for Jerry Anderson. Our theme today is veterans. Later in the show, we'll talk with Bob Weinberg from Flag City Honor Flight. They wrapped up their 20th mission on Tuesday, and I was once again invited along to cover the day and tell their great stories. But first, we'll talk with Charles Heiser of Lucas County Veterans Service Commission. Welcome in the studio. Good to see you. We've been around each other for a few years now as you've been executive director there. Let's talk first of all about overall on where we are with veterans in Lucas County. The homeless issue is a problem. People unable to find housing and being able to afford housing. Are we making some progress in that? Or I know that with the economy being pretty rough right now and high costs of living for people, is that causing more of a homeless issue, or are we doing okay?
I think we're doing okay. There's a lot of programs out there we work with the VA homeless program. We work with Veterans Matters. The city of Toledo has a rent assistance. We have a rent assistance. So security deposit first month's rent is something we may be able to assist with. Obviously, you have to be a qualifying veteran. But it seems to be coming along, and I don't see that many issues. Biggest thing is on the veterans' behalf, they got to do the paperwork, they got to provide the paperwork to get the assistance like anything else.
Give us an idea of your office, what its function is, where it gets its funding, and how you're able to do it. It must be pretty busy, I understand.
It can get pretty busy. Our funding comes from county property taxes, so that's pretty much set. With that, we do various things. We do the emergency financial assistance. We help with claims for filing claims for veterans that either became disabled, got a condition, worsened their condition while they're in the military service or in training. So it's two different sides. We have social wellness programs. There's a lot of different things we try to stay involved with, but there are issues we have to become aware of to assist with.
Do we have a lot of homeless veterans who are hungry? I think that's probably a problem in the whole county anyway. But hunger is an issue, food shortages.
Okay, if you're with our program and you're signed up there, we increase the amount of food that we provide because it's something that's more of a base necessity. So that is something we've done to increase the allotment of the amount of food that they get. So there's other programs also throughout the county. And those are things that if they want to call our office, we can probably assist them to some other places too that can also help.
Yeah, I was noticing on the sheet there are different duties that your office has. You have a pretty large staff. Does everybody have their own niche in what they do, or they're all caseworkers and take these people as they come in and need help?
Yeah, almost everything's by appointment, just for the sheer fact that we might get 10 to 15 assist requests a day. We don't have enough staff to cover it. So financial assist request side, that's things like security deposit first month's rent. You're lost your job and your utility is going to get shut off. That's something we may be able to help with also. So there's different programs, some home repairs we can help with. There's different avenues that you can look at through us, and you can apply at lucascountyvets.org, and if you qualify, an investigator will get back with you, but it may take a day or two for them to get back to you just because of the amount of requests we got.
I noticed that you're able to get TARTA bus ticket assistance. Explain that program and how are you able to pull that off? Because that's just a terrific assist for veterans.
Yeah, it was actually something that was started a couple of years ago by my predecessor, Lee. And with COVID, obviously it shut everything down because everything was free. So we got back in negotiations, and TARTA actually was very accommodating in helping set up the program to where it's reduced fare for veterans that need TARTA to get back and forth to medical appointments. If you can't afford it, we can provide the bus passes at our cost. So be it a daily pass or a monthly, depending on the quantity of appointments you got, we can issue those out at free of charge to the veteran. TARPs is something we're working on right now to set it up so that way if you, again, need TARPs instead of TARTA, that we'll be covering the cost for that, but we're still negotiating with TARTA to figure out the process.
Charles, it seems like the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, we have so many veterans coming home. We've been at war for 20 years, that's winding down. But the sheer numbers of veterans that need assistance, it would seem from my vantage point, I don't know, but it must be skyrocketing because we just had a steady stream of people going into the military, coming out of the military, and needing some kind of aid in some capacity.
I would agree with you on a personal level. On a professional level, the biggest thing is getting veterans that are coming back to be aware of our services. It is provided by your tax money. We're the focal point, so if the governor calls or representatives or congressmen, they get a hold of us to say, hey, what's going on here? Do you have any input? If an organization doesn't get with us to give us that input, it's harder to provide. And the biggest thing with the younger troops coming home, they're unaware of the services we can provide. And if we can't provide it, we can definitely guide you in the right direction.
There are so many organizations, Task Force 20, a lot of organizations in the area that are helping veterans deal with PTSD. And Who's, for example, has done a great job with therapies. We're coming a long way, aren't we, in learning how to deal with PTSD, how to help veterans who are suffering from PTSD. And also, of course, first responders also have the same kind of symptoms. One thing about it is a camaraderie you get from being with a group of people when you're deployed somewhere and you come back here and then you resume your life and you miss that bond that you had with people.
It is. That's probably one of the biggest factors for veterans that come back that have different issues, because you do become your own subculture. We have our own mannerisms, we have our own jokes, etc. So there's simple things, Veterans Treatment Court. It's run with Judge Conley. He fosters it or he controls it. For Toledo Municipal Court, for veterans coming back with mental health issues, drug abuse issues, alcoholism, and they're getting in trouble with citations, criminal offenses, that's where we can step in and look at more, let's help get to the base of the problem rather than just punish you. Next year, May 20th, we're going to have our own veterans barbecue. So the VSC will be putting it on to where it's just veterans that come together and have that camaraderie, not a job fair, nothing else. Let's just hang out, get to know each other, and you can build that camaraderie, which does help you cope with a lot more because the people have dealt with the same issues you have.
Can you help veterans align them with appealing to the VA on certain things? My question is, we've gone through Agent Orange as over the years finally gotten more symptoms approved. Yes. Burn pit veterans just recently was approved a few months ago. And then now Camp Lejeune water is an issue with, yes, with Marines. I'm wondering if you have people listening out here who have some symptoms, what procedure do they do? Are they on their own, or they can call your office and get some advice on how to file with the VA? My
advice would be to call us, okay? So the number I'm assuming will show up somewhere, and lucascountyvets.org. You can apply for it. The biggest thing is with the PACT Act that passed here recently, that does include the Camp Lejeune, the burn pits, the Agent Orange. It's included more diseases, more cancers, more issues that are coming up medically. Even if you've applied in the past and you were denied, reapply. The worst that can happen is you get denied again, you wasted an hour of your time, but the benefits between medical, your disability compensation, all of those way outweigh that little bit of time you may think. And if you get denied, reapply. Our service officers are accredited, so they're also able to do Legion, DAV, VFW claims on their behalf or assist with them. We can do that. They go to training 3 times a year. They have annual internet training that they have to do to keep current on the current forms that the VA is using and how to fill them out properly. And again, I can't stress anymore, be it you're a dependent, the surviving spouse, the veteran themselves, apply at our office, see what you're eligible for. And the website again is? lucascountyvets.org. Okay. Charles Heiser, thanks for coming in today. Good to talk to you and learn more about what we can do for our veterans. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Dan Cummins. Honor Flight began about 20 years ago. Its original mission was taking World War II veterans to D.C. to see the new memorial built there for them in their honor. It's exploded nationwide with well over 100 chapters, and the Honor Flights have expanded to including veterans from the Korean War, Vietnam, and all services in between. And Bob Weinberg, Executive Director, coming off another great flight this week. We went on Tuesday, had a great time. That was our second of the year. And talk about the flight coming up in November.
have not done that before. We've always done either one flight or two flights. In 17, we've done two. This year, we're doing a third flight, and we're doing it within 6 weeks of the last flight. So everyone's a little nervous and excited about getting going. In fact, we're already working on getting all the veterans and guardians.
And you
on that
assure me
flight.
the weather on November 1st in D.C. will be fairly mild.
Yeah,
Because
so-
I'm like, I can't wear shorts. I got to be bundled up for the day.
So I was watching the weather last November 1st in Washington, D.C. It was 72 degrees. So
Okay.
I'm hoping it's like that again this year. But it won't be in Northwest Ohio.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be a climate change. Yeah.
Chuck Bills from Ohio.
Ohio Logistics stepped forward this year and said, hey, I would like to sponsor a flight, and I would like to sponsor an all-Vietnam veteran flight. So Chuck is aware. He's been a supporter of Flag City Honor Flight since its inception. So he came forward and said, Ohio Logistics wants to sponsor this flight. That takes us out of the mold of having to serve World War II, Korea, and Vietnam in that order. So if a sponsor comes in, wants to sponsor that flight, we can do an all-Vietnam veteran flight.
Let's show us a video now of our flight, of the departure from Toledo Express at Grand Air Terminal. We're on the plane, they're heading out. And what's really cool is the water cannon that the 180th provides for us. A great salute to our veterans.
It sure is, and the veterans are really excited about that. You should be on board. In fact, you were on board, and you heard the roar of the applause of that water cannon going off. They really enjoy that.
So we were shut down for 2 years, and now you're back with 3 flights this year. I know you got a big backlog of Vietnam veterans, and the flight in November will help do that. We took 85 on Tuesday. Talk about how you're handling the numbers and what you're looking at for next year and beyond, because it's a lot to make up for. Those 2 years that Flag City Honor Flight was grounded.
Right, we grounded for 2 years. This last year, in 2001, that was actually us, Flag City Honor Flight, that didn't fly. The Delta variant of COVID kind of knocked the wheels off our aircraft 3 weeks before we were going to fly. So we canceled our season because of that. Honor Flight in other parts of the country still flew. It was limited, but they still flew. So we have a short list of World War II veterans. COVID really changed that too. In 19, we took 45 veterans in World War II veterans in 19. This year we've taken 4 in our 2 flights. So the number's really fallen off. We're out there looking for those guys again, but the numbers are just off. Our Korean list, we can usually handle the list of Korean veterans during our normal flight season. We have 400 plus Vietnam veteran era people waiting, some of those over 6 years. So with this sponsored flight, we can fill the plane with Vietnam veterans. As you know, this last flight, we had probably 30, 35 Vietnam War veterans on that aircraft. We have to take them in the order that we received their application. So those guys that have been waiting for 6 years are now going to get on that flight.
Let's show the video now from this week. Start off with the World War II Memorial, which is usually where we start our day. That was a beautiful day we had in D.C. Gorgeous pictures from the World War II Memorial. Now, veterans are eligible for honor flight if they what? If they wore a uniform during that period of time?
That's correct. If they served during World War II.
They're thinking, well, I wasn't in a war, I was in between wars, but...
We call them tweenies.
Yep.
And we take them. So as you said earlier in the introduction, you know, we started out as World War II, but we've expanded that to World War II, Korea, Vietnam. And it's era. So those people in between, if you served from World War II to Vietnam, you're eligible to go.
The Vietnam Wall is always so emotional. The veterans, when they go up there, they get the etchings, and it's interesting. The 3 different, I've said this before, the 3 different memorials are so unique and so personal, but all beautiful in their own way. Here's a shot of the Vietnam Wall with the names on there, and veterans will come up and get etchings of people they knew, people they lost. You probably know some guys on that wall.
I do. But most of the ones that I know on the wall are not personal friends of mine or that I knew in my life. I had plenty of guys that went to Nam. I was actually in during Vietnam, just didn't leave the country. I was one of those blessed people. But yeah, there's people on the wall that I know now. And obviously taking veterans to the Vietnam Wall with honor flight, we learned more names. I think you remember Bill Rowe. He was one of my veterans that served World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And he had a buddy that is on the first slab. He's way up on the top of the first slab. The Vietnam Wall names are in chronological order of when they passed, when they were killed in action. So he was pre-1965. So I look for those guys every time I go to the wall, just to remember them.
Are Gulf War veterans in line eventually down the road? They'll be next?
That's a good question. We follow the guidelines of Honor Flight National, or Network, who we all fly under that umbrella, all 130 plus hubs, and so far not. But what we do at Flag City Honor Flight is try to get those guys involved and gals involved in being guardians. There's nothing better than taking a veteran and his guardian's a veteran. It just really clicks. It makes the day special.
Actually, on Tuesday, I met a veteran who went in June, loved it so much, he signed up to be a guardian, and then randomly was assigned another veteran to spend the day with, and the two of them had a ball together.
Yeah, that's special. That's special. It's, as you know, you've been on enough of our flights. It's life-changing for you.
Yeah.
It's life-changing for me and for those veterans, and the guardians too. We have a bond. We create a bond between that guardian veteran that goes way past the flight day.
Yeah, they remain friends.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do.
We'll take another break here on Leading Edge. We'll be right back with Bob Weinberg from Flag City Honor Flight. Be right back. Welcome back on Leading Edge. I'm Dan Cummins. We're talking Flag City Honor Flight with Bob Weinberg, Executive Director. Bob, let's talk on a personal note for you. This is really cool. So every year we go to D.C., we go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and see them changing of the guard. Bob is badge number 101, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about your history with the tomb and that lifestyle.
Well, I got drafted on 9/11 of 1969 and went through basic training and infantry training. Thought I was going off to Vietnam like all the rest, and instead got on a bus and ended up at Fort Myer, Virginia that night, late at night. And got off the bus and followed a guy that was yelling out Weinberg like a puppy dog into honor guard barracks. So I was old guard, I was honor guard, and got into my training there in 3rd Platoon, which is the rifle unit for the funeral, for the 21-gun salute. Got interested in the tomb, and those guys that guarded it volunteered for that, passed the test, and became a tomb guard.
That is a lifestyle. I mean, it changes your life on the discipline and structure of what they do every day. This is, I've seen this so many times live, but it never gets old.
And it never changes. There are 3 reliefs that guard the tomb, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. They're a 7-man squad or relief. They're there 24 hours for their shift, 7 in the morning till 7 the next morning. They're off and on that way, rotate through that. And in the summertime, they're up on the mat for a half hour, and every half hour guard change. In the wintertime, it's every hour. And at night, regardless of the season, it's a 2-hour walk at night.
Yeah, rain or shine, hurricane,
Yep.
Everything.
Yes, and people think that, oh, it's bad weather out there, we're sending the new guys up. That doesn't happen. It's always the old guys that want to be out there. They want to withstand that. Yeah, they want to do that. They want to honor that soldier. And everyone thinks, you know, they have thousands of questions for me when they find out that it was a tomb guard, but it's not about me. And I tell people that. It's not about the sentinel. The sentinel is there because of the sacrifice that the unknowns gave. And that's our commitment.
Well done. All right, now we want to show the video from the other night, the homecoming. This never gets old either. All right, remember, a lot of these veterans came home to silence or abuse back in the Vietnam era especially. And family and friends welcome them back, and I know there's always a lot of tears when this happens. This is beautiful.
It most certainly is. In my opinion, no veteran ever got the welcome home that they get with Honor Flight. If you go back to World War II and you talk about Time Life magazine and a sailor kissing some woman in Times Square.
Yeah.
Because they just announced that the Germans surrendered, or the Japanese surrendered. Where do you think the soldiers were that were fighting? They were still there. Months later, they get home. There's
On
no
a troop ship.
on a trip, yeah, hopped on a train and went home or hitchhiked back home, and there was no welcome home for them. And you know about the Vietnam era, it was not honorable to wear a uniform during the Vietnam War. So those guys, you even made that comment, ran to the restrooms at the LA airport and changed into civilian clothes when they got off the plane so that they could put up with people. So they get a welcome home now. They get mail call, which is really important to them. And anyone in the service, any service member knows the importance of mail call. Whether you're in state or in country, you want that mail call bag. But the welcome home, we unload our aircraft on the tarmac. We don't allow the hangar door to come open for them to hear and see that celebration until everyone can enter the building. So the first person and the last person in gets the same welcome. And you know what? I had the privilege this time where I was stationed when that door opened, it's almost like a gust of wind hitting you in the face. The noise, the cheering, and the band playing and the flags waving. It's emotional, as you know.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad we're making up for lost time with these guys, letting them be appreciated. Bob Weinberg, thank you so much for being here with Flag City Honor Flight. We'll be right back on Leading Edge. Welcome back. I hope in this half hour you've learned a thing or two about Lucas County Veterans Services Commission, what the great job they do, and if you're a veteran, there are a lot of things they can provide or help you with. And Honor Flight, Flag City Honor Flight, if you wear a uniform, you're eligible for a free trip to Washington, D.C. with a lot of great people. Sign up at flagcityhonorflight.org. That's Leading Edge for this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Dan Cummins, and enjoy the rest of your day.